We know that the Upside Down's air is toxic to us. Hopper immediately starts coughing when breaking into Hawkins' lab, and later one of the scientists even tells them the atmosphere is toxic before going in. It's the reason they're all wearing hazmat suits, but has anyone ever questioned why the Upside Down's air is the way that it is? After finishing Season 2 of Stranger Things, I wanted to see what theories people had about the future of the show, as well as the new lore that was added, especially regarding the Upside Down and the monsters, but since the new season had just been released, I could barely find anything, since most people hadn't watched it at that point. So I decided to take a look at some older theories to see what has been debunked, what is still unanswered, and where the show could be going in the future. But I quickly realized that most theories are more so trying to explain what the Upside Down is and what the monsters are and want, but barely anyone was taking a look at certain behaviors the Demogorgon had, and the ones that did regarded it as either instinctual behaviors or simply plot holes. Specifically regarding the fact that we don't know how Will was able to escape the Demogorgon once it took him to the Upside Down, and after rewatching Season 1, I think I have come up with an explanation for a lot of the things the monsters do, especially the Demogorgon. So going back to that scene, we know after the Demogorgon took Will to the Upside Down, he somehow had the chance to escape, which sounds a lot like when the monster took Barb and she woke up inside the Upside Down. The monster was just standing there, not even looking in her direction, and had she not been in the pool, she could have easily run away, just like Will. But why would the monster do this? Why wouldn't it just attach one of those snake things to them right away? I think it might be the most obvious answer, because it was weakened, and because it wasn't strong enough to take them to the Upside Down immediately. But then the question is, what weakened it? The first thought that came to my mind, of course, was the teleportation. It was drastically weakened, switching from our world to the Upside Down. But looking at some of the other episodes, we know that can't be it. In the Season 1 finale, for example, Nancy and Jonathan lure the Demogorgon with their blood. It opens a portal and comes into the house, and is subsequently shot at by Nancy. The kids run into Will's room and wait for the monster to run into the bear trap, but upon opening the door, it's gone. It went back into the Upside Down. They then walk back into the living room and tell Steve to run away. Steve leaves the house and lights start to flicker. It attacks Jonathan from behind, gets shot at by Nancy again, gets hit by the nailed baseball bat, walks into the bear trap, gets burned alive, and escapes by going back into the Upside Down again. It runs all the way over to the school, opens another portal, and gets shot at by numerous agents. And as we see in Season 2, Episode 2, after killing the monster, Elle teleported herself to the Upside Down as well, and does she seem weakened when she wakes up? Well, kinda, because she's always weak after using her powers, but still, she wakes up pretty much right away and can still walk back through the portal, walk all the way from the school to Mike's house, and when the police see her, she's still able to run away. So to recap, the Demogorgon switched from our world to the Upside Down 5 times within a couple of minutes, and takes enough damage that would kill any other animal, so it can't just be an act of switching dimensions. Is that exhausting for it, when at other times it seems exhausted after just going in and out once? So what else could have weakened it? I think I've got the answer for this. I believe, much like the Upside Down's air is toxic to us, our air is toxic to the monsters. Think about it. In both seasons, what the monsters do is avoid our atmosphere. Something that was the exact same between the scientist in the very beginning of the show and Will was that they both ran away from the Demogorgon and thought they escaped it, only to find it reappear right behind them. If the air was toxic for it, why waste the energy to run after them both if it could just go back into the Upside Down where it is free to do whatever it wants, and then quickly come out behind them, grab them, and go back and spend as little time as possible breathing our air. And that's why when Barb woke up, she would still have our air in her lungs. But she strangely wakes up with that Upside Down slime inside of her mouth, as if the Demogorgon was preparing her while healing. And that's also the reason why there was like 30 or more demo dogs, and yet no one seems to know about them. In Season 1, there was one monster, and there were multiple reports made about it. For example, the 2 hunters who went missing in the woods. The demo dogs live in our world in those tunnels, and yet no one saw or heard anything. Makes no sense unless they stayed in those tunnels in their breathable air and only came out on rare occasions, during which, as we see in the scrapyard fight of the kids and Steve versus the demo dogs, they are accompanied by a strange fog, which I believe is simulating the Upside Down's air temporarily so they could stay on the hunt, and is also the reason no one saw them when they came out. Another point is after they killed Bob at Hawkins' lab, Spoiler alert, they break through the front door and our heroes barely escape by car, but the Demodogs were now free and right behind them. Why not run after them, or go outside in general? Because after they killed everyone that they could find at the lab, they retreated. As Will said, their objective is to kill everyone else, and that's why it used Will to lure those soldiers into the tunnel, which got rid of Hawkins' only line of defense so it could get rid of all the scientists guarding and studying the portal. The Demodogs had no intention of running free in an environment that is toxic to them. And it's not straight up confirmed, but it is hinted at that the Mind Flayer is trying to take over at least Hawkins, probably the entire world, by building these underground vines, which, as we see by the particles in the air, it's made of the same stuff that's in the Upside Down. But that thing is huge. We've seen the Demogorgon as well as the Demodogs, and they're almost unkillable, which probably also applies to the Mind Flayer. So why not just go through the portal, kill everything and everyone in sight, and set up your nest from there? Well, the fact that the Mind Flayer was operating through the portal was what ultimately brought its downfall when Jane closed it, so it seems almost illogical for it not to come through, unless you consider that it couldn't because our air would kill it. So it had to change everything to the Upside Down first. In an interview with the Duffer Brothers, they once said that they've written a 30-page text document explaining everything about the Upside Down and its inhabitants, and mentioned there was an important reason why there's only one monster. And we've seen that the monsters are able to reproduce and what they're capable of. They're almost unkillable and can travel between dimensions. How would anything be able to kill these things unless the environment they tried to survive in wasn't sustainable? Well, that's basically my theory and all the evidence I could come up with. I'm going to watch the show again with all this in mind and see if I find anything else that supports this, but for now, I think this is enough. Shout out to gman2255 from Reddit for this theory. What did you like most about Season 2 of Stranger Things? I think my favorite part of this season was Sean Astin's role as Bob. He was just such a dad, which was funny to watch, but then to see his nerd brain working at the puzzle was really enjoyable to me for some reason. I'm super excited that it has already been picked up for a Season 3 and 4, so we will have plenty more episodes of this amazing show. Did you enjoy this video? I thought it might be kind of risky to branch out into some new shows, but I really wanted to see what other territory I can get into. I really hope you liked this newest video, and if you did, you can show me by hitting the like button. If you didn't like it, that's okay, you can click the dislike button, and if you had any issues with the video, just let me know in the comments. I thrive on your feedback, and it really helps me improve. Notification Squad, if that's still a thing, make sure you use the bell to get notifications to all of my new videos. The next theory is going to be about South Park, so I hope you all can get excited for that. I'm going to be getting into some more Adventure Time when the time is right and I have something of value to discuss, but for now I will continue exploring my options. Since my last upload, I've turned 26 years old and I'm happy to say that my health has been improving. I'm no longer falling asleep as often, which I attribute mainly to improving my blood sugar through weightlifting. At any rate, thank you all for taking the time to check me out. If you want to show me further support, you can visit my Patreon, but please do not feel obligated to give. I'm thankful for any support that I do get. I may be able to do some giveaways really soon, so keep a lookout for that as well. Also, I don't really mention them often, but don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that jazz. Links are in the description. Thanks so much.